is podcast When Does Brahms Come In? I'm Sophia and today's figure is Frederic Chopin, Polish composer and pianist. He is a leading representative of Western European musical romanticism and the founder of the Polish National School of Composition. The future great musician was born in 1810 in a village near Warsaw. His father was French who moved to Poland in his youth. Frederic's passion for playing the piano started in early childhood. He could spend hours selecting different melodies and improvising and spent every 3 minutes on the instrument. They say that Chopin could wake up in the middle of the night and run to write a melody that he had in his dream. He wrote his first piece at the age of 7. It was a small polonaise. At that time, he lived in Warsaw with his parents, and the news about this made it onto the pages of one of the local newspapers, and they called Frederic a musical genius. When Chopin left Poland at the age of 20 to go on tour, he didn't know that he would never return to his homeland, and he spent the second half of his life in France. Frederic Chopin wrote music exclusively for piano. Despite his short life, he wrote about 200 works, polonaises, mazurkas, nocturnes, waltzes, and much more. Thanks to Chopin, such genres as preludes, scherzos, and ballads became independent ones. And not even talking about his beautiful and virtuoso piano etudes. Fantasie Impromptu is a very famous work by Chopin. It excites and lights up hearts. This composition was written at the end of 1834 and the beginning of 1835. But it was published only after the death of the composer by a close friend of Frederic Chopin. Some musicologists believe that the composer didn't publish the Fantasie Impromptu because the music was too personal. The world of this work is filled with experiences and feelings. The accompaniment of the melody evokes associations with restless waves. The melody itself is constantly in question. The middle part is harmonious and sublime. There are memories of bright past, sadness and longing. The gentle image of the melody is filled with light and transparency. But calm cannot last forever. The image returns to a storm of emotions, and such experiences took place in composer's life. Contemporaries noted that Frederic Chopin was a very sensitive person, fragile and vulnerable. Melancholic in life, this mood was conveyed in his works. The composer didn't like crowded audiences and could only open his heart fully when playing in front of a small number of close friends. He captivated listeners with poetic performances and the soft sound of the instrument. Talking about an important woman in Chopin's life, Aurora Dupin, who wore pseudonym George Sand. Their story lasted about 10 years and they inspired each other, Frederic to write musical words and Aurora to create novels. Chopin had very poor health. He suffered from tuberculosis since childhood, and Sand decided that he needed treatment and took him to Mallorca. But the composer didn't feel better there, the illness didn't recede, and the decision was made to return to Paris. The relationship of Frederic Chopin and George Sand could not be called simple. Many circumstances prevented them from being together, and they broke up after 10 years since their first meeting. The famous funeral march by Chopin was inspired by George Sand. It was after their breakup when they met 1 year later. Aurora wanted to talk, but not Frederic. He just went past. When he returned home, he sat on the piano and started to play this march. Chopin's illness got worse after a tour in England. The damp climate didn't help, and in November 1849, the composer died. His last words were that George Sand promised him that he would die in her arms. Chopin bequeathed to cut his heart and transpose it to Poland. This was made by his sister, and since then it has been kept in one of the churches in Warsaw. At the time of his death, Chopin was only 39 years old. Such a short life, but such a great musical heritage. Brahms will come to see us again, but for now, see you soon. It was a podcast, When Does Brahms Come In? And sincerely yours, Sophia.